Hey guys, welcome to another video lesson. In this lesson, we're going to explore a couple of key concepts. We're going to explore the object-oriented programming ideas that we reviewed in class last week. We're also going to introduce some new concepts to read user input from the keyboard. So if you're not there already, please log into StackStarter, get in your environments, and let's code together. So I'm going to go ahead and click Edit here and go into our editor. And what we'd like to do is we'd like to think about a sketch that will allow us to eventually create a soundboard. So think about like a drum machine or something like that where you hit a button and it plays a sound. But instead of hitting a pad on an actual drum machine, we'll be hitting a specific key on the keyboard. So the first thing that we need to be able to do is that if we wanted to develop a program like this, is we need to be able to detect when a certain key is pressed in our program. So far, we have not introduced how to actually do that. We've looked at the mouse position by using the mouse X and the mouse Y internal variables to p5js. And I think we looked at the mouse pressed function that detects whether or not a mouse is actually pressed or not. But we haven't looked at any of the key functions that are available to us in p5js. So what I'd like to do is let's first figure that out, introduce how to actually get connected to listen to a specific key press, and then we can build on that idea to be able to create maybe the idea of a pad to be able to actually create some type of drum pad that we can hit to play a sound. So the first thing we need to do is let's go ahead and in our sketches folder, we're going to go ahead and create a new file. I'm going to call this file soundboard.js. And let's go ahead and open that file up. I'm also going to go ahead and open up our index.html. Let's move this over. And let's go ahead and link up our soundboard.js in our index file. Now let's go ahead and pop back over to our soundboard.js. And let's go ahead and start writing the template code we need to be able to actually create a sketch. So by now you should know it's that good old setup and draw function. So we're going to have our setup function. We're going to have our draw function. We're going to have our curly brackets all nice like this, open and close. Now we're going to go into our setup function and go ahead and create our canvas with the window width and the window height. And we'll go ahead and make our background black. Awesome. So now if we go ahead and just run our program, we should just have a black background. I'm just going to go ahead and split the screen out a little bit here, just so that we can keep everything, so you guys can see what's going on. And we'll grab this here and we'll bring this here. Okay, awesome. So now we have a black background and we have really simple code going on. So we don't actually need to do anything in the draw function just yet. What I want to do is introduce you guys to a new function, and this function is a special function that gets executed anytime somebody hits a key on the keyboard. So the name of this function is, let me just refresh this page, I think. So the name of this function is function KeyPressed. Which kind of makes sense, right? So we want to be able to listen for key events, and KeyPressed is what's going to enable us to do that. So let's go ahead and pop over to our p5js reference. And let's go ahead and look for that function, KeyPressed. So you can see an example here. The KeyPressed is the draw function here is filling to a value. So maybe we'll try to do this. Let's see what happens. So the function here is saying if the value equals 0, then the value is going to equal to 255, which is going to be our white color, right? All the lights will be on. And then if not, it's going to be black, right? Everything will be off. But more importantly, this doesn't really tell us exactly what key is actually being pressed here. This is just saying, hey, if a key pressed and changing this value here. This isn't saying what key was actually pressed. So let's go ahead and try to just bring this code in here just to illustrate what's happening. So if I just say in the draw function to fill some value, and we let the value here equal to, say, 255, right? And I refresh this, we should just simply see a white rectangle, right? Or a white square in this case. In the KeyPressed function, if we go ahead and take this example here and we say if value equals 0, using that equal, which is really the valid way to do this in JavaScript to be able to detect whether or not this is truly 0 or not. If it's 0, then we'll make it 255, else it's going to be 0. So in the beginning, I think they probably made it 0, right? Yeah, so they made it 0 in the beginning. So once we hit a key press, it would actually hit this conditional and then turn it to 255. So in the beginning here, if I refresh this, we should not see anything, but there actually is a black square written there. But if I hit any key, boom. If I hit a key again, boom. So I can keep hitting a key. So I'm just hitting any random key on my keyboard. It does not matter. Any key will enable you to do this. So I'm just going to keep that code up here for a minute here so you guys can play around with that. And really the key point here is, the key point, no pun intended, the key point here is that we are detecting whether or not a user has hit a key on a keyboard. And that's it. We don't know yet what key they actually hit, but we know a key was pressed. Okay, so that's a key point. We do not know what key was actually pressed yet. Now, in order to determine that, we need to be able to read what key was actually pressed, right? We need to be able to do some type of conditional based on the key value. So if we go back to this reference here, you can go down here, and you see that there's this built-in variable called key code. And let's see if they have, oh, they do have a reference here for that. Good. So key code, I guess takes you to this page here, which there's a couple of built-in constants so we can detect the backspace, the delete, the enter, etc., like the up arrow, down arrow, left arrow. That's really important for developing video games, right? But it says here, if you're looking for any custom key, you can go to this website, keycode.info. This website's really cool. So if I click here, and it's going to take us to keycode.info, right? So you see that here. And now this site basically just lets us hit a key. So if I hit any key here, say I'm going to hit the D key, it tells us the actual number in which JavaScript internalizes the actual number, the key as a number. So this is key number 68, which is the key D, right? So the actual key code value when we hit the key D on our keyboard is going to be 68. So I can go back to our code here and say, hey, if key code equals 68, then do something. All right, and I'll take this conditional out. If key code equals 68, maybe we'll make the value equal 255. Right, we'll make it white. So now if we go here and we refresh this, we're not going to see anything. Say I'm going to go ahead and hit some random key. I'm going to hit the Q key. Nothing's going to happen. I'm going to hit the W key. Nothing's going to happen. I'm going to go ahead and hit that D key. Boom. That conditional executed because when I hit the key code, that is D, which equals 68 based on what we see here on the keycode.info website, we can detect whether or not the actual D key was pressed. Super powerful stuff, because now we can really get really interactive with our programs through keyboard input. Right? So we could do things like, if this key is pressed, then do something else, or maybe play a sound if this key is pressed, or play a different sound if another key is pressed. So I'll keep that on the screen for a second there. You can pause it here and just play around with this code. Now, the only thing we're doing here is changing the value of this color, right? We can make this some random color, right? If we wanted to get a little crazy, we could say random 255. And now this will be, every time we hit the D key, it would be some random shade of gray, right? I'm just jamming away on my D key here. And that's all well and good. So that's, we're able to now detect this. And now we can do this with any key. So if I go back here, hit the J key, whoops, not that. It's a client website. If I hit the J key or the K key, A key, it's going to show us exactly what we're hitting. So play around with that a little bit and see if you can get something that maybe detects different keys besides the D key, maybe the B key or the C key, and make it do maybe something different, like a different color or something. So awesome. Now we're detecting keyboard input. That's great. But we want to actually maybe create an object like a pad when we hit a certain key. So we want to now think about this, and maybe I'll do this, maybe I'll do this in a separate video, because this is going to be kind of two big pieces here. I'm going to stop this here. This is the KeyPressed introduction. So we're looking at specifically this function and how we can use this built-in key code to be able to detect key values. In the next video, I'm going to go into abstracting out the idea of a pad on a drum machine so that we can actually start to create something of an object that can act as a pad, right? So it'll play a sound when we call a specific function. All right, so play around with this KeyPressed piece, and I'll see you in the next video when we're going to talk about the actual soundboard.